So good evening, everyone. Hi. So welcome to our Israel and thank you. Israel and Japan social event. So we are glad to see you all here. So I'm Ryoko from Alex Solutions. I'm your host today. Okay. So today we're going to learn about VeganTech and also discuss the food culture in Israel and Japan together. Before we start, let me briefly explain about our event. So our virtual event takes place about once a month to connect Israeli and Japanese people to help understand each other's cultures. And also we hope to create student community to help each other to exchange any information. And also our hope is that it may help you to create future business opportunity with each other. So that will be great. So in this event, we will have time to have a conversation with each other, as well as see a presentation about VeganTech and alternative protein. So 代替肉. So I have fun meeting. So have fun meeting and see new people and learn new things. So then this event is the first time we are collaborating with an organization, New IJ. So it supports and empowers women from Israel and Japan to grow their innovation and activities. So here today, our Naomi-san is out. Yes, thank you.
Hi.
Naomi-san and Shira-san from New IJ. Thank you. So who will support you today? So あと日本語も話しますので、ヘブライ語も大丈夫ですので、何かあったら言ってください。はい。And Daniela and Lear.
Yes.
And Yukari. Nitsan. Yeah, they're interns in New IJ. So they will support you as well. Thank you. Okay. And also we have a special guest, Aviv Oren from GFI Israel. So he will join later around 2 o'clock in Japan time, 8 o'clock. And let me explain about the schedule. Can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see on the screen, we have this schedule today. So first we'll start with icebreaker for 15 minutes. And afterward, Aviv will give you a presentation about VeganTech and alternative protein food. So you can ask questions to him during the Q&A. And I didn't mention the screen. We will have a 5 minutes break after the Q&A. Then after everyone come back, we will start discussion in the breakout room. Then change rooms and have another discussion with different people. So after that, we will share some upcoming information and close the event. Okay. So do you have any questions so far?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. And one thing, this event is recording and we will upload it to YouTube later. So if you want, feel free to turn your camera off, but it's preferred to see your face during the conversation. So keep open. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yes, let's get started. So the icebreaker, I prepared some questions. I'll share with you on the chat. Can you see the chat? So we have 15 minutes icebreaker. So please explain yourself, like a quick one, and explain why you were here today, why you joined our event today. And maybe the interns will ask you, has anyone here ever eaten any plant-based meat or alternative protein product in your country? So we can discuss like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. So Daniel-san, did you?
Yes.
Make a
So I make the groups. So
Okay.
now I will send everyone. Okay.
Thank you. So see you in 15 minutes.
See you.
Okay, how was the discussion? Sorry, I didn't mention before we start the breakout room. I want to ask, what did you talk about in your group? In each group, sorry, I didn't mention that. So can you share your conversation here?
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
so thank you. So from the group one, Leah or Ida-san, did you find the person who can share the conversation, summarize the conversation?
We forgot to ask before, but I think Leo-san or Orly, if you want to just say some words about what we talked about.
Okay, go ahead already. You can.
Me? Okay.
Sorry, my cat sat on the computers and
I
I
see.
couldn't press anything. Yeah, so we introduced ourselves. And
did you talk about the alternative protein food?
Yes. Ryo-san said she has friends who has eaten plant-based food or tried it or a vegan. I'm not sure. And Yukari-san said she has seen products that are plant-based, but she hasn't tried it yet, but she wants to. Leah-san said she's a vegetarian for 10 years.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Leo-san?
Leah.
Leah-san.
Leah-san.
I see.
Yeah, and I said that I'm not vegetarian, but I have a roommate that is vegan, Noga-san. So I told them that I know a little bit about the topic, and I also did help the research about vegan burgers, and I did an event about vegans in Israel.
Okay, thank you, Ari.
Thank you.
Even though it's a sudden question asking. Thank you. So room 2, Daniela? Did you choose one person?
No, so we didn't choose, but basically we talked about like how do you say it? How common being vegetarian or vegan is in Israel and Japan. So it's more common here in Israel than in Japan. That's it, like basically.
Okay, thank you. So room 3, Anitza, can you share just quick the sharing?
Yes, so as everybody else, we introduced ourselves, and after that we talked about, mostly Yuki-san or Aya-san talked about when they ate代替肉, and they both talked about soybeans, right? Soybeans-based meat. and they thought that the taste was quite similar, if I'm not wrong. So they had a good experience, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So group 4, Shira-san, did you choose someone in the group, or you can share the conversation?
No, Horan or Omer, would you like to summarize our conversation?
Maybe Horan? No? Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Omer, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
We talked a little bit after introducing one another about current food techs and recent developments, and we started talking a little bit about Ransom's experiences in Japan as a vegan, but unfortunately the timer ran out, so we couldn't explore that much more. But we did talk a little bit about developments in food technology.
That's good. Thank you. So, Aviv-san, Aviv, Mr. Aviv Oren-san, sorry for make you wait. Okay, so let's move on to the next presentation session. So we are pleased to welcome to Mr. Aviv Oren, our special guest from Israel. And he's a business engagement and innovation director from GFI Israel. And GFI Israel is a science-based non-profit organization. Okay. So focus on building a sustainable and health food system. So he will be just sharing with us about alternative protein food and plant-based market and Israeli innovation and so on. So Aviv, could you please start your presentation? Are you ready? Thank you so much.
Okay, so hello everybody, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Aviv. I'm from GFI Israel. GFI stands for the Good Food Institute. We are a global non-profit organization supported by philanthropy, and our focus is to accelerate alternative protein and plant-based food for the reasons that we will discuss in our short presentation today. And the focus is how will we feed 10 billion people by 2050 in an efficient and sustainable way. The system that we are using today to consume most of our protein is not efficient. We are putting 8 calories in a chicken in order to receive only 1 calorie. And this is the most efficient creature. If we will look at beef, so cow, we are putting 34 calories in order to receive only 1 calorie. So all that energy of water and calories and feeding that we need in order to grow this animal, we can consume directly those calories if we will consume alternative protein food. And the reason is the projection that the consumptions of meat, fish, or eggs, or any kind of animal-based food is just growing in the world, just because of population growth, and also because in developing countries, more and more people are getting to a higher socioeconomic status and consuming more and more meat. And there is a lot of issues. There is a lot of problem with this. The food industry, the animal-based food industry, is responsible for between 14 to 18% of green gas emissions. This is equivalent to the entire transportation industry. Think about all the cars and airplanes and trains. It's the #1 user of fresh water. It's the #1 cause of deforestation. For example, taking off areas in the Amazonas in order to grow beef and in order to grow soy in order to feed them. It's the #1 use of antibiotics. Many of the pandemics that the UN predict for the futures will come from bacteria that resist to the antibiotics that we have today. And most of the antibiotic is being used in animal farming. So there are many, many reasons why we need to move to a different food system. And the vegan food, if you want to call it, let's say the tofu and the lentils and so on, it's good for a percentage amount of people. Israel has a lot of them. Between about 6% are vegan and vegetarian, but it's not good for everybody. And not everybody will consume tofu and will replace the meat. So the solution is to make something that people want and to provide them the meat that they like, made of different things, made of plants or even more advanced technology as cultivated meat, and we will discuss it. And in most development countries, the percentage of vegan and vegetarian is about 4 to 6%. And then what we have, those products are not aimed to answer those needs. The products that mimic the meat and the eggs and the dairy, I aim to target the flexitarians mostly. They are about 30 to 40% of the population in developed country. And they are choosing to reduce the consumption of meat or milk or eggs for several reasons. Some of them because of health, some of them because of animal welfare, some of them because of sustainability and the environment. So each one for their own reason. And the younger is the generation, the more they are likely to be a flexitarian. And flexitarians can be somebody that is choosing to reduce once a week, and somebody that is choosing to reduce from their lunch menu the meat and to eat something else. And most of the companies and their products are aiming to this market in order to create the change. Beyond Meat, that maybe most of you have heard about the company, released an information that 93% of the people that buy the burgers are actually meat eaters. They are not vegetarian and they are not flexitarians and they are not vegans. That means they are more likely to be a flexitarians. And there is a lot of advantage to move into those types of food products. 95% reduction in land costs, in land use, 90% reduction in water use, 93% reduction in green gas emissions. And they're also offering a solution for 9 of the SDGs that we refer to. So there is a lot of advantage for those products. And let's discuss a little bit what they are. So we have today the ability to make meat from cells. We have the ability to make eggs from chickpea protein. We can make salmon from algae-based protein. We can make chicken from pea protein. So there are a lot of solutions, and we call all of them alternative protein. We put them under the category of alternative protein, and they divide mostly to 3 categories of technologies. One is plant-based. That means food that it's based off, let's say, soy, pea, chickpea, and so on. Most of you are know it from plant-based milk, for example, oat milk, soy milk, and so on. And there is a technology that we refer to as fermentation and cultivated, making meat in the lab from cells. So let's discuss a little bit about those 3. Cultivated, it's actually to create meat that is identical to the meat that is coming from the cow or from the chicken or from the fish without growing the entire animal. So we are just growing the cells. So we are taking a sample of cells from the animal, and then we grow them, we let them differentiate and multiply. We put them in big bioreactors. We feed them we give them the right condition, and then we can create the product that we want. There are about 60 companies today in the world working to create cultivated meat. Some of them work on fish, some of them work on chicken. Israel is a big hub for this. 4 of the first 8 countries in the world were based in Israel, and today we have about 9 companies in Israel working on cultivated meat or chicken or fish. Fermentation is another technique using microorganisms like yeast in order to create molecules that we want. And a good example for that is Perfect Day, which is a company that create a dairy protein like whey protein, identical to the protein that is coming from the cows, and make dairy products without having to milk the cows. And they created by fermentation. What do I mean? Maybe it's a little bit too scientific, but they use the yeast or the bacteria as the host. And this yeast produce the protein that they want. And then they isolate the protein and they make the final product. Impossible Food also is a good example. They make a molecule called the heme protein, which is rich in iron and give the meat flavor and color. And they also make it by fermentation. And maybe the last technology is the plant-based that most of you are familiar with. And this is taking, for example, pea protein in the case of Beyond Meat, or soy protein in the case of Impossible. And with that, to create the meat in a texture that it's a meat-like, and they created with what we refer to as a high moisturized extruder in order to create the fiber-like texture of meat from the plant-based protein. Different techniques in order to create the texture of the meat that is being used also in Israel by several companies like Redefine Meat. Just launched their product to the market in several restaurants here in Tel Aviv and savor it. They are using a 3D printing technique in order to take the plant-based formula and to print steaks that will look like and taste like real steaks that we know. So this is a map of how the industry used to look like 4 years ago. You can see several companies and research centers. And this is the map how the industry looks today. So there are many, actually this is 1 year ago. Today, nobody even bothered to update this slide because there are so many companies in the field, a lot of investors, a lot of multinational food companies, a lot of startups. And the reason that there are so many companies in this business today, one, because many people want to solve the biggest problems that we have today, how to feed the planet in a sustainable and healthy way. And B, because of the demand. Those numbers are coming from the US market. You can see the increase in the consumption in green of the plant-based product versus in yellow, the animal-based product. So for example, in the last 2 years, the increase of consumption of plant-based product like Beyond Meat and Impossible in the US jumped by 72% versus 24%. Milk, for example, 27% versus only 9%. So in every category, the plant-based product win over the animal-based product in the growth, not of course in the volume. This is just a percentage of growth. In Israel, for example, we can see similar trend. We can see that the plant-based meat grew last year in 58% versus 11% of the real meat. And we can see, for example, milk, that the plant-based milk grew in 36% versus 8% of the milk. In Israel, for example, the plant-based milk is 13% of the total milk market, which is a very significant number, which means almost in every third house there is a plant-based milk. I will skip this, but I will just say that the investments in startups, in innovation globally is increasing. More and more investors are investing in those companies. Israel is in a very good position for innovation. We are second in the world in the number of cultivated meat and fermentation companies. During 2021, so far, 25% of the investments that were made worldwide in cultivated meat happened in Israel. There are many labs in the research universities in Israel that are working to develop those products. And our ecosystem of innovation in terms of, there are many startups in the cultivated meat, in the fermentation, and in the plant-based that are working on those products. Some of them get early sponsorship from government program and incubators. And hopefully they will bring the solutions that we are looking for. So thank you very much. I will leave some time for questions from your side.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We already have some question on the chat from Shira-san, I think. User is Shira, right? Shira-san. So question is there any preference between different kind of protein?
So in plant-based protein, different protein have different qualities. Some of them are considered as a whole protein, that they have the whole amino acids. Some of them don't. Some of them are more allergenic. For example, soy. Many people are allergic to soy protein. So there is the need always to develop new sources of protein and to mix between them in order to also get the right functionality of the product and taste.
Yes. I just thought, as in a presentation, one of the Israeli company make a 3D meat, like a 3D printing meat, and it's also provided in the restaurant already.
So yes, so in Israel they just launched their first product like about a month ago. So there are some of the products are using, for example, they have the burger that is, they don't use the 3D printer, but they have the steaks or the small chops of steaks that they are using the 3D printer for that.
The
But
texture is
yeah. The texture is very good, actually. The texture is very good.
But isn't it very expensive? No.
It's not cultivated meat. It's plant-based meat. Still, it's made of mostly pea protein, soy protein, a mix of formula. Cultivated meat was actually released in Singapore last year for the first time to be sold in a restaurant. But it's still expensive. But I assume the company that is selling that, which is just an American company, are not making any profit at this moment.
That's interesting. In the middle of the business. So, thank you. Sorry, I lost the questions. Where is this? Sorry. There any research on the side of the health? So the second question is there any research on the side of the health of human with cultivated food or cultured food? It's from Shira-san.
I don't see the whole question. I see only 3 here. So the question that you said, I don't see. So if you can please repeat it.
Okay. Shida-san, can you ask the directory if you can? It's better to.
Hi, sorry. I wanted to ask if there are any research regarding the health side of a human. Is there, if you know any research about the effect of a new type of food?
Yeah, so you refer to a cultivated to cultured meat. So
Yes.
cultivated meat is being under regulatory in most countries is not approved yet for the regulatory reasons that they need to learn more about it. Singapore is the first country to approve it. So FDA and the European Union and Japan is also working, and Israel on the approval of cultured meat, and they are looking at all kind of parameters, what type of media, which is the food that we are feeding the cells. For now, it looks very, very good because the meat that they grow, it's being grown in some kind of like a farmer grade, very, very clean and free of any bacteria. So the shelf life of the meat is even much longer than the meat that we buy today because there's 0 contaminations and 0 use of antibiotics. So in many, many cases that we know so far, it's even much, much better than the meat that we know today. But it's still under discussion, and a lot of scientists are looking at the regulatory path.
Okay, so the third question I wanted to ask, if you know any collaboration between Japan and Israel regarding this vegan tech, sustainable food tech?
So there is a company called Aleph Farms. They are working, I will write here in the chat. Second. And they are working on cultivated meat made of mostly focus on beef. They want to create steaks. And they actually signed a partnership deal with the Mitsubishi Corporation in order to scale up into Asia using a joint venture deal between the 2 companies. Mitsubishi, it's a huge company that also have big activities on the food service. In addition to that, there are bilateral funds for research between the 2 countries. So there are many ways that we are starting to see collaborations.
Sounds so excited. Thank you. We have a lot of questions. So next question is from Yuki Kato-san. Yuki-san. Yeah.
Can I ask by myself or?
It's better.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask a question. So Mr. Aviv or Mr. Oren? Mr. Aviv, I have a question. What is the motivation for why some of the meat eaters try to convert to kind of the vegan, or what is the motivation for the meat eater to taste alternative meat? Is there any kind of the clear reason, like they think it's a good for the environment, or it's like try to get on the trend, or is there any kind of the clear reason?
Each one for their own reasons. Some of them, as I said, for environment reason, that it's better for the environment. Some of them I do it because they care about the conditions that animal are being used in this industry. So for animal fair reasons, some of them for health reason, for the risk of the use of antibiotics and hormones and and contamination. So, and some of them for food security. Actually, most of the government support those technology because of food security. What do I mean by food security? And especially in the COVID time, many governments realized that if something happened in the world, in case of pandemics and so on, some countries, they don't produce and they don't grow their own food. And then they will have a problem to feed their people. For example, Singapore they have a plan that they are called 30-30. That means that by 2030, Singapore wants to produce 30% of food. At the moment, they don't produce almost any of their food because it's a small island country. They cannot grow cows around the countries, and so their goal is actually to create protein using cultivated plant-based or other technique. So food security is also a big motivation here.
But I think how to say it's like a kind of the following question. No matter what kind of the alternative meat, like a cultivated one or plant-based ones, we need an ingredient or we need a kind of the resource. So no matter how we care about our food security, like Singapore or some of the countries like Japan, what is the shortage for the produce of the food, we need to import the food. So it's not like a question in this line, but how about in order to produce alternative meat, how about material, or how about consuming of the material or resource? Is it worth to promote?
So you need much less resources. For example, you need 93% less land because you don't need to grow all those animals. You need 90% less fresh water because you don't need those animals, you don't need them to drink so much, and so you don't need also to grow so much food in order to feed those animals. Most of the efficient is coming because you feed cows and so on with soy and plant-based proteins. You need to grow this. This is exactly what I said on the first slide, that, for example, cow is consuming 34 calories and we get only 1 calorie out of it.
But
this is the efficient.
Sorry, maybe my question is not so correct. Like how to say, in order to promote alternative meat, we need a kind of the high advanced technology. And if we think about this kind of the high advanced technology, some of the countries have don't possess this kind of the technology. So in this meaning, like if alternative meat get popularity in the world or get widespread in the world, like some of the company or some of the country who possess a high advanced technology, it seems like this kind of the company can control all over the world food production. In this meaning, it's kind of the we should afraid of this kind of the hegemony of the food or hegemony of the high advanced technology. I think so.
This is a very good point. The goal is that this food will be cheaper than to consume meat or eggs or dairy at the end. That the advance in the technology and the scale will make it even cheaper than the product that we consume today, and therefore it can also solve problems in world third countries that don't have enough food. Also for climate reasons, for global warming, that they cannot even grow the simple food in the next few years. So this is how we look at this.
Okay, thank you. So maybe I think I asked too many questions.
No, it's good ones.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Yuki-san. So let's move on to the, we have a lot of questions. Let's start. So Daniela, you have question, right?
Yes, please. Hello. I was wondering if we can see like any discounts in those products anytime soon, because I know that in Israel, I don't know about other countries like in the United States or in Europe, in Asia, it's really expensive, like really expensive. And I know that most of the people I know avoid buying them. They prefer to buy regular dairy products or meat products because just much cheaper.
So the key here is the scale up. I will give you, for example, Beyond Meat or Impossible. They don't have factories in every country. So in order for them to provide those products to a country like Israel, those products needs to be shipped frozen, which is inexpensive for food. So it makes the product, the end product, expensive on your end. So in many times, it's the evolution of the scale up of production. The more they will have big factories, the more they will sell the product, they will have more income in order to build those factories. For example, Beyond Meat is now building their factory in Brazil, because Brazil is also very price sensitive for meat. The biggest meat companies are from Brazil. So it's a long process, and now they are not in a rush to reduce the price because they cannot produce as much as they can sell. So once there will be more and more companies and more factories, and the technology will also improve. And the idea of those companies is to get to price parity with milk and meat, but it will take several years.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So Naomi-san?
Yes, hi. Hi, my question is, it's not only about, I wrote it's about alternative meat, but it's not only about alternative meat, alternative, every kind of protein, because sometimes I use something like seitan, or I don't know, kind of tofu made something. You know, it looks like very artificial for me, not natural for me. I don't know exactly what they do from the ingredients and to make it looks like or something like meat. I don't know what is inside. I'm a little bit worried about kind of additive materials or preservative materials or something like that.
This is a very interesting and long discussion. It is true that some of those products are processed in order to be very similar to meat. They are not clean label, as maybe you wanted to say in a short way. Tofu, for example, it's a clean label product.
Okay.
Very simple process of production, one ingredient. Beyond, for example, there is a long list of ingredients, and there are some processed to the final product. Now, the question is, what are you comparing it to? Because the meat that people consume, with all the risk of antibiotics and genetics engineering that it's in, let's look at the chicken, for example. The chicken that we have today are not anything similar to the chicken that were several years ago in terms of their of how they look like, in order to adapt them to our need. So the health issue is coming in from different direction. And I can tell you that many of the plant-based companies are looking to reduce the ingredients, the list of the ingredients, and to come with more natural ingredients and more clean label product. But it's also a process that will take time.
Okay, just maybe it's better because just when I use it, I'm worried about that to give my kids. She always eat this one. Is it okay or not? Maybe I can check the ingredients in another side of the food, or how can I know that which one is really healthy and which one is not?
Healthy is also it's subjective.
Yes.
Some people tend to believe some ingredients are less healthy than others. Some would say there is nothing wrong with those ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe to get yourself educated on those products and then to make a decision. I cannot say what is healthy or not, especially when we are talking different cultures sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To make decision is not an easy way. Have to study. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So maybe the next question will be the last question. Sorry, because we have a limited time. So Horan-san, you put the question, right?
Okay. I would like to ask about, are there any universities in Israel that conducts educational programs or courses and researches related to alternative protein technologies?
So every university in Israel that have a food engineering program, they also study alternative protein, of course, because it's a big part now of the food tech industry. We are teaching a course in alternative protein in GFI in several universities in Israel and around the world. We also have an online course for everybody, a simple one, at gfi.org on alternative protein that anybody can take online and to educate themselves a little bit more about what is alternative protein and about those technologies. It's available for everybody. And there are researchers also that is, of course, in Israel that is working on research in cultivated meat, fermentation, and different. You can find the list of them at gfi.org.il. The gfi.org is the global website, and gfi.org.il is the GFI Israel website. You have a lot of research. You can download the innovation report and we specify all the researchers over there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is a great information for students. Thank you. So thank you so much for the great questions and interesting. So next session we will have the breakout room, group session, conversation. But before that, we have a 5 minutes break. So maybe Aviv-san, so you will leave.
I will say goodbye now. So thank you for inviting me. It was very interesting and great questions. So good luck and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. なんか日本の学生さんにどんな感じか聞きたいんですけど、印象。飯田さんどう？これまでどうですか？
雪加藤さんのことではなくて、
全体的。
なんかこういうそのプラントベースフードとか、サステナブルフードのことに関してあんまりなんかデータ、詳しいデータとかあまり今まで知らなかったので、そういうのをなんかこういうプレゼンテーションで形式で学ぶことができてよかったですし、またその前のブレイクアウトセッションでイスラエルの日本の、学生さんとちょっと世間話も交えたお話できて楽しかったです。
よかったよかった。ありがとうございます。そう、ブレイクアウトルームが短くなっちゃってごめんなさい。
いえいえ。
これから25分の予定だったんですけど、おそらく15分がいいかなと。25分が15分になります。すいません。でも、すごいいいクエスチョンばかりだったので。Daniela, I hear?
Yes, I'm here.
So we are talking about the time.
Yes.
Can you change to the 15 minutes breakout room?
Yes, of course.
Yes, thank you.
So I will send everyone yes.
Thank you. And also, we also share the conversation after the main room. So please choose the one person who's gonna share. And this is a question that we prepared. But if you want to ask something to each other, you can ignore the question if you want.
Okay, so I'm sending.
Okay, thank you.
Again.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello.
They come back.
Welcome back to everyone.
そうなの。わかる？
あ、若い子が来ましたね。若い子が。
だいぶ若い子が来ましたね。
だいぶ若い子が来た。
We have a special guest.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. So how was that? So please share what did you talk about in your group? Maybe group one? Oh, please.
Go.
Yes, when we spoke about mainly about what sort of exposure Japanese people have to vegetarian, vegan people and products, and how to perhaps convince them to maybe seek out to try these things, how the future looks for Japan in how they address these types of food products. And I think we have at least some agreement that the sustainable growth initiatives are probably going to work out better in determining, in having more Japanese people seek out these foods. Whereas in Israel, at least from my experience, things like innovation in culinary and not necessarily in sustainable growth are probably going to be more effective. But yeah, there are still challenges in exposing Japanese people to the option of alternative diets.
That's a problem. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the next session more, I think. Thank you. So how about group 2?
Maybe I think we are group 2. Yes. Okay. So first of all, about question 1. How to say the most impressive thing about presentation. Our group has impressed by how to say presented about how is how to say benefit to choose to eat alternative meat. Like we are surprised. We surprised about how we can cut our energy loss. It's how we can save our energy to how we can save our energy to choose to eat alternative meat. And for our ideas, we Japanese love to eat fish, and of course Israeli has some of the how to say kind of the basic protein resource like chicken, but for the Israeli people or the most of the world, the most important protein resource is like mostly it's like a land animal, like a chicken, pork, cow, or sheep. So that even we talk about how to say alternative meat, mostly we did not think about alternative fish or like a kind of the seafood alternative option. Yeah, and we have argued about like any kind of what is the reason behind the Israeli vegan, like because of the landscape or because of the religion. Some of the Israeli people love to eat alternative meat, but it's kind of question to figure out the question. Yes, it's a difficult question to figure out the answer. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Next, I will give you a question like that. Thank you. Okay, so group 3, Guy, can you see?
Yeah, so I think we actually talked about almost the same thing as group 2 somehow. So yeah, we talked about the presentation, then I explained a bit about the religious reasons also in kosher to eating vegan, and we talked about meat consumption in Israel and Japan, and I think like we said, like in Israel we eat a lot chicken and beef, and actually in Japan maybe it's more fish than meat. And we talked about that exactly the same, so that there isn't many maybe seafood and fish alternatives for vegans. So yeah, I'm interested to learn more about that actually in the future. Yeah, so it turned out to be kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, we love fish. So let me think about that. Okay. Okay, thank you. So the next session will be also for 15 minutes. And also I prepare some question this. Maybe we can focus on the question 5. What do you think is the best way to spread this solution in your country? Solution means alternative food, alternative protein, alternative fish, how to spread the market, alternative fish. Well, let's think about that.
Did you send the question to the chat?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I sent Shira-san's one. Thank you. Sorry. The question 4 is: do you want to eat these alternative protein food? In the presentation, 3D print meat or something. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So Daniela, did you?
Yes.
You are the best. Thank you.
Okay. So now I'll send everyone. See you soon.
Yeah. See you later.
And
sorry, I want to know the Lia-san. You said, what did you try to say that?
Person. It's a Japanese person, but the person who
in Kyoto?
Yeah, in Kyoto. This person who it's like in really old, this person came out in my history class, and that person went to Kyoto and ate something. So I wanted to ask.
He's alive or
dead?
He's dead. Okay. I don't know.
But it's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Oh no. Sorry. So we have running out of time. So can you quickly share your conversation? Quickly share in one group. Group 1. Sorry. We're gonna share.
Yes, go ahead.
Yuki-san.
Sorry, who is a group one? Our group is a group one. Okay, I will summarize. Yeah, we talk about. Sorry, sometimes we ignore about main main topic. We talk about why you choose to be a vegetarian. In my idea, it's kind of my perception, or it's not so widespread idea, but the whole my idea to choose to be a vegetarian looks like lost a connection with other life. In my idea, consuming meat is to maintain a connection with other life, like a cycle of the life. We know about we know that in order to survive, we need to eat meat. Is that we can we can get the energy from other life. So it's kind of the circle of the life. So I thought to be a vegan or to choose to be a vegetarian in Israel, there must be kind of the social pressure, like you must be a vegan, our family is a vegan, so you should be a vegan. So it sounds like most of the Israeli or all of the Israeli to choose to be a vegan by his volunteer or without any kind of the social pressure. It's because they want to be they want to be a kind of the environment healthy or how to say beneficial for the environment. So looks like they choose to be a vegan.
Okay.
And we think that even there's many vegan in Israel, most of the Japanese have never heard of the idea of the alternative food. So the best way to widespread alternative food idea, alternative meat idea in Japan is that start from the education. Like we should choose some kind of the artificial meat in school diet, like primary school lunch or high school lunch. They can from the school life or daily life, our kids can study about what is alternative meat. Sorry, it's not like summarize. I think I talk too much.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, the Naomi-san said we can check is it healthy or is it safe, the food, and then we can make a kyushoku for kids. That's a good idea. Thank you. So group 2?
Yes. So we talked about how to make this kind of nutrition more popular in Japan, and we talked about how the media, the people, the restaurant, pretty much every place in Japan use visual aids to attract people in. So maybe if they start to promote it with visual aids, like on restaurants or in supermarkets, more people will be aware and will want to try it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you. So group 3, sorry, I didn't choose the one person, so I'm gonna say that. So sorry, we are just we want to talk with Ryo-san. Ryo-san, she's very amazing. She's only 13 years old, and she's focused on care about the climate change and animals, saving animals. So she said she wants to try the alternative protein food. Yeah, like curiosity. Right? So we just talk about that, and also we are talking about Kyoto, the Kanto area, Kansai area. It's more the vegan food is spreading more popular. It's getting more popular. Hadasan think said, yeah. And in the supermarket, you can find which product? The vegan meat, but the price is not so high. It's very fair price. So it's a good information for us. Okay, sorry. So thank you. So we're gonna wrap up the event. So before close the event, I want to. Okay, Shira-san, can you share something upcoming information for new IJ?
Okay, so I will very quickly share what is a new IJ. It is a network of entrepreneurial women in Israel and Japan. New IJ wishes to support and empower women from Israel and Japan to grow their innovation to the next level. So we have in the member Japanese living in Israel, Israeli lives in Japan, and we have several different projects that we initiate. So if you are interested, you can see our site here. I put the link on the chat. And here is our Facebook group. We'll be very happy you can. So it's a woman network, but we always welcome also men to join to the network. So New IJ and Alex Solution, we have a collaboration project that this one is the first webinar that we do. So in the coming future, we will do several webinars in the different topics. Through the year, we will approach to Japanese and Israeli students to connect between Japan and Israel. And we are aiming to bring Japanese students to Israel to do Israel tour, and maybe to do some homestay in Israel, and maybe a tour from Israel to Japan to exchange different experiences. So we hope to see you in the future events.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Shira-san. Yes. So hopefully next year, after Corona, finish all the work. So please join us, join our program, and just come to Israel or Japan. Yes. And also from me, I create the feedback, feedback, the anketo, and also the anket including our contact as well. So you can, the chat will be deleted, so you can check from here as well. And we need your feedback as well to improve our event. So please write down something, any comment. It's very helpful. Okay. So we're gonna finish the same one. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Miss Ikeda, can I ask one more thing? It's
sure.
It's like a little bit selfish thing. Sorry. Thank you for everyone. I'm not a member of the IG, but it's my first time to join this event. I sincerely enjoy this event, but I have one problem. Because now I didn't live in China. Now I didn't live in Israel. I didn't live in Japan, so I cannot. It's not easy to connect with you in some meaning. So if all of everyone do not have a mind, can you be my friends? How to say? Even I'm in China, I use a Facebook. So if you can, if you love a culture exchange with Japanese, if you love a culture exchange, Japanese who live in mainland China or Hong Kong, can you add me my Facebook? Sometimes I do a kind of the how to say environment friendly thing, like now my screen is a desert, and last month I had been to world's second biggest desert, and I tried to plant a tree in the desert, in Chinese deserts. Like sometimes
very similar to Israel.
Yeah, very similar to Israel. And like sometimes I visit this kind. Sometimes I did kind of the environment friendly act, and sometimes I write a news article in Japanese web media, like how to say innovation or any kind of the changing, any kind of developing in China. Sorry, it's not Israel. But anyway, if you love to do any kind of the culture exchange with the Japanese, 友達になってください. Please be my friend.
That's simple. Thank you. Thank you.
すみません、余計なこと言いまして失礼しました。
No, it's okay.
Sorry for disturbing.
ありがとうございます。So if you want to share your the account, like a Facebook account, Instagram account, yeah, you can share also. And the Orini, can I take a picture of us? Thank you. Thank you. I almost forgot. Sorry. So, okay, are you ready? Okay, so any pause. So 3, 2, 1, please. Thank you. Let me check. During that, you can share the account on the chat. Perfect. Thank you. I took some. This is Oren Instagram guy. Put the Facebook. And Horan-san put the Facebook account. Yeah. And if you have any question, yeah, please share.
Sorry, I have a question. What is next month's topic?
We didn't decide yet.
What?
But New IJ has a different event, I think.
So in New IJ, we have every month a webinar that we invite women to talk about different topics. 1 month in English, 1 month in Japanese, one from Israel, one from Japan, in different topics. So please follow our Facebook group so you can check on it.
Mm-hmm. And Arex Solutions also have some international meetup or some kind of same as style, the meetup event. So you can please follow us too. Thank you.
And last thing, we also invite new interns. So if you're interested in our activities, I didn't talk about all the projects, but if you're interested, we will do another like a meetup to explain our activities. And if some of you would like to join and to take a part, we will be more than happy to welcome you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. So everyone copy the link?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So thank you for a long time and thank you for your time. So it was very nice to see you. So have a good day and have a good night. See you again.
Thank you very much.
Everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.